Hello everyone, my name is Bill Dunn. I'm a McCracken County PVA. In this video I wanted to explain how you go about acquiring a property through the purchase of the tax bill or paying the taxes. We explain this option to a lot of people nearly every week down here at the PVA office, and the county clerk also explains this process to people. And one of the things we start by with this explanation, by prefacing it, is this is a terrible option. It doesn't work for most people. It's extremely risky, and that's what I wanted to go over. Why it's risky and why this is a terrible option. There are a couple other options that should be considered first, such as adverse possession, if you can get that to work, or purchasing a property from a family member, if you can find one that will cooperate. So on my board here, I've got the process. I've got, excuse my artwork, 100 State Street. I might talk about this home from time to time in my example. So property acquisition through delinquent taxes. That's the subject here. So let's say 100 State Street, the owners are deceased. Maybe they're not deceased. Maybe they moved out of the area. They abandoned the home. Maybe the home's not being taken care of. Maybe it is being lived in. Who knows? Whatever the scenario is, I'm going to use an example here. Let's say a flipper, meaning someone who buys houses or acquires houses, and they want to take this home in a neighborhood and it's in bad shape. It's an eyesore for the neighborhood. They want to acquire that property and they want to flip it, make a profit on it, and make it a respectable home again in the neighborhood. So let's say this home, 100 State Street, has delinquent taxes. In the years 2020, 21, 22, and 23, they didn't pay the taxes. They owe $750 in 2020 and $1,000 worth of taxes in each of these 3 years that you see here. So the process for this is you would go to the county clerk's office and you would talk to them about purchasing the tax bill. So what you would do, they would explain the process, but you go to the county clerk's office, you would talk to them about it. You would, if you decided to pursue this, here's what you would do. You would buy the tax bill, and I've got a typo there. You would be called what's called a third party. And we generally don't like third parties because some of these have terrible reputations. They're pretty cold people. It's usually a group of a specific profession. They buy tax bills. They run up tax bills tremendously. For example, we once saw a tax bill that was, the original tax bill was around $30, $35. And after this third party company, when they started trying to collect from the little old lady that lived in the house, so to speak, the tax bill was now $2,000 or a few $1,000s. And they take advantage of people that are in a bad situation most of the time. That's the way we feel about it. So let's say you wanted to pursue this process. So you went to the county clerk's office, you bought a tax bill, you are now what's called a third party. So what that gets you, that doesn't get you the property. A lot of people think it does, and it does not. That's part of the reason why this is a terrible process. So it gives you a right at some point to foreclose on the property, but it does not give you a right to take possession of the property. You have no legal right to the property whatsoever. So you have to go through this process that I'm going to describe here to take legal ownership and possession of the property. So you buy the tax bill, and one of the things about this, buying the tax bill, for this process to work, you don't have to pay all the taxes. You just need to pay one of the tax bills. So for example, I will tell people, if you want to pursue this process, you don't have to pay all of these taxes. This is $3,750. You can just buy this one tax bill right here. That gives you the right to pursue this process without spending all this money at one time. So Let's say you're going to pursue this process. You buy the $750 tax bill. You're now a third party. After that, you have to wait 1 year. That's called a tolling period. That's not an option. You have to wait 1 year. So after 1 year, you decide you're going to pursue the foreclosure process. You start mailing letters to the residents or owners of the property, if you can find them. A lot of times you're going to mail your letters to the last known mailing address of the previous owner here, and it's going to be returned. Maybe not in every case, but that's what we've seen. Many times it does. So you wait your year, you start mailing letters, you get the letters back, and you get no response. You can't find the owners anywhere, and say you want to go ahead and foreclose. So you're going to have to find an attorney, and you're going to have to pay an attorney around $4,500, and to initiate the foreclosure. The attorney is going to go through the process, contacting the owners, probably doing a newspaper ad, contacting the master commissioner, getting everything set up with the master commissioner. The master commissioner has fees. I believe the fees, some chunk of this goes to the master commissioner. And so the master commissioner is going to put it up for auction. He's going to He's going to list it in the newspaper. He's going to list it on his website. He's got to advertise it a certain period of time in advance. He's going to set a date for it. It's usually the last or next to last Monday of each month, I believe. And the newspaper comes out in the newspaper, I believe, the second Friday, maybe. I think the system's changed since I started being involved in this. But so then it's going to go to the master commissioner auction. At the master commissioner auction, this is where the problem is. At the master commissioner auction, there's a lot of things that go on there. The master commissioner is going to talk about the terms, how you have to provide a 10% down payment at the end of the auction if you win the auction on 100 State Street. And but the problem here is this is an auction. This is an auction where a property could sell for $1, or it could sell for a lot more than that. Some properties, we believe, have sold for more than what they're really worth at the master commissioner auction. Usually people go to the master commissioner auction to get a deal. So at the master commissioner auction, if you've ever been to one, they're inside the courthouse, on the courthouse steps. That's inside the courthouse, not outside the courthouse. When they say the courthouse steps, it's usually on the first floor. And at our courthouse, we've got a basement, a first floor, and a second floor. So it's on the first floor, close to the deputy judge executive's office and the finance office. The stairs that lead from the first floor to the second floor. It's kind of hard to hear in there sometimes because there's a great echo in the hallway. But so at the auction, I forget what the term is, but it's an auction where it will sell for any price. It might sell for $1 if you were the only one there, but if there are several people there, which there probably will be, there will be competing bidding between all the parties that are in attendance. So at the master commissioner auction, this property that you paid $4,500 to send to foreclosure, and you paid a $750 tax bill, you may lose all that at the auction. So your investment just got you $0 in return because you lost it at the auction. Say there's a neighbor there and they want that property more than you do. They're willing to pay more than what is considered a reasonable price. You're going to flip it, but it's their property next to their home. It's the property next to their home. So they're willing to pay more than you are. You've got a limit because you're going to have to, as a flipper, you're going to have to put a sum of money into the home to fix it up and fix it up nice so you can flip it and sell it for a profit. This person over here, they may not have any intention of doing that. They just want to acquire it to control their neighborhood, to control who's living next to them, which would be a terrible thing because ideally we want somebody to buy it and fix it up and clean it up and flip it, ideally. But this is where the problem is. If you spend $4,500 to an attorney to do the foreclosure, you've already got $750 in a tax bill. You could lose it at the master commissioner auction. So that's why this is a terrible process, because you did all the heavy lifting, so to speak, with the $4,500 and the $750 in the tax bill, and then you run a risk of losing it at the auction because somebody else wanted it more than you did. Now, you may get the $750 back, or a portion of it, but the attorney fee of $4,500, that's gone. You did all this work that benefited that neighborhood, but you didn't reap any benefit. You didn't reap any profit from it. And you may actually get a little bit more than the $750 because you're entitled to around, I think it's 10% interest for that year that you waited. So you may get a little bit, but that doesn't outweigh the $4,500 that you're going to lose. So down here at the bottom, I talk about the right of redemption. This is also another important factor. So when a property goes to foreclosure, the master commissioner, when he starts his process, he will hire usually 3 realtors here in the area, pay them a small fee. They will do what's called a drive-by, and they will estimate the value of this property, judging it from the road. Nobody has access to it because it's still owned by the previous owner. They don't have any right to go up to the property and go in the property. If you're going on properties that are going to the master commissioner auction, if you go into one of these properties, you could get in trouble because you're trespassing. Even none of these people own this property. The previous owners own it. Up until the master commissioner gives you a deed for this home, no one has any rights to that except the previous owners. But the 2/3 value, so when the realtors do the value estimate of the home or the property, when in state law, it says at the master commissioner auction, if you pay less than 2/3 value of that appraised value by those 3 realtors, then the previous owner has what's called a right of redemption. They have a right to make it right, and I don't know the exact process because I don't think I've ever seen it done, but they have a right to get their property back. And like I said, I don't know the full process of that. I don't know. I don't have any idea, but they have a right to cancel all this and get their property back. So what most people do is they bid the 2/3 value, which the master commissioner auction will usually state at the auction that if you want to defeat the right of redemption, you pay the 2/3 value, and the previous owners have no right to come back and acquire their property again. So, like I said, this is a terrible system. Usually what I recommend, if you can find a family member, go find a family member of the property and see if you can buy it from them. Unfortunately, a lot of times you can't find a family member, or there are so many family members they can't agree on anything. You can't get them to sign any paperwork. If it's just a vacant lot and the lot is only worth about $2,500, then it's just going to be a bunch of trouble for them, and they're not going to want to sign anything because there's nothing in it for them. So another option is the adverse possession. So an example of that is this week we had a gentleman call. He said he'd been mowing this yard, a yard next to him, I guess, for 30 years. And so the right of adverse possession, there's a lot of requirements to it. You need to talk to an attorney to find out if you qualify. But in a case like that where he'd been mowing the yard for 30 years, I don't even know about the taxes. Are there delinquent taxes on it? Was the owner paying the taxes? It's not as simple as you take care of it, you have a right to own it. It's not simple like that. That's why you need to talk to an attorney about the adverse possession. But with adverse possession, the minimum requirement is usually 15 years. So if you've taken care of something for 15 years, then you may have a right for that. There's something else, an option in that adverse possession. It's called color of title. I don't understand all that. That's where you need to talk to an attorney again. That would cut that down from 15 years to 7 years. So adverse possession, buying a property from a family member, if you can find one. This method here is certainly a third option for you, but it's a terrible option. So I hope this has been helpful. If you have any questions along this line, feel free to call us down here at the PVA office. And thank you very much.